Welcome to Chicago. All right, here's my wife's favorite way to get around a town.
It's always my first favorite thing to do in a big city is go on the hop-on, hop-off bus tour. And I know you probably think that's really cheesy, but we are cheesy.
We are cheesy.
So let's just face it.
But remember, be yourself.
We're starting just a couple blocks from our hotel. We're staying at this place called the Sonder, which was near the train station. And it's kind of like, almost like an apartment.
But you have to do everything online. There's no
Yeah, we had to do a
people.
lot of, like, it's kind of Airbnb-ish. There was a lot of things to do before we got there that we didn't know about, but it's kind of a spur of the moment, last minute
Yeah.
trip here today. We will get more of a chance to see the city and show it to you guys.
That's
so,
it.
Yay!
Chicago's #1 tourist destination, the Navy Pier. A little bit of trivia about Chicago is it's called the Windy City. And there are actually 4 reasons for this being called Windy City. The first one is the weather, because it is windy. The second one, and my favorite, is named after the politicians in Chicago, because they're so full of wind. Talk, talk, talk. The third one is its competition with Cincinnati. I don't know why that is. I didn't read that far into that. And the fourth one is because it has some of the earliest skyscrapers, and because of all the wind currents of that, that's why they call it windy. What do we have in the Chicago?
The weird part
Malort.
is you gotta walk up a driveway.
And what kind of liqueur is it?
Okay,
Pizza
enjoy
through like
it.
a swing.
It's Chicago green. It's like you will taste, and it's like very
But
special. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest.
No, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Somebody tricked us into drinking that
No,
stuff.
I know. Somebody tricked. It's going to be supposed to be really bad. We're going to try this out.
right.
And it was like, ugh. Nobody drinks it. It's a joke. What's it called?
Yeah, it's a joke. All right. How would you describe Malort? This guy right here.
It was here.
Seen it? I'd try it.
We got tricked with that stuff.
Yeah, I tricked myself into this, but I would say it tastes like ashtray, like somebody spilled their Jaeger bomb in an ashtray. That's all right, and it doesn't go away.
Because we need to
Not
get
at all.
rid of it.
Gorgeous out here. So like, I don't know what the word is. What are the vibes you're getting? Like,
The vibes I'm getting is just like, well, obviously a little patriotism here with the flags.
sailboaty and like,
Yeah, I'm getting the sailboat. Sailboat feel, like just relax.
it's really gorgeous.
Very gorgeous.
And I love it.
Yeah. Just gotta love how pretty Chicago is.
It is beautiful.
Can't really appreciate it till you actually get here and see it. It's pretty amazing. Reservation for the Navy Pier Ferris wheel, air conditioning.
1893, they had a World's Fair here, and that was the intention to introduce Chicago to the world as the vibrant city that it is. And it was supposed to be the 400th year of Columbus discovering America. However, as we all know, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, so it was actually the 401st year, but they used that as an excuse to have the World's Fair here and introduce Chicago to the world. We are fresh and clean after coming back to our room and relaxing for a little bit, and now we're headed off to our sunset cruise, which is exciting. But we are downstairs and getting on the L train to go to our cruise destination.
Yes.
On Michigan Avenue. So.
So far, the subways are pretty nice. Not dirty. And quick. Cocktails on a boat. Nothing wrong with that. The lock is opening. Here we go. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. We are actually lower. This is a walk, right?
Well, we didn't get the restaurant we wanted, which is across the street. Because there's a lot of people here and wanting tables. So we went across the street, and thankfully there's a table here. I'm not sure it's going to be great, but I hope it will be sort of good.
It's a good spot, and it's called, the place is called Tiny Town.
Yeah.
Check it out. Not a bad view. Run the river. What do you think? So far, so good? In the Tiny Cab, we got some fried pickles. A Chicago dog. Classic. And a little baby flatbread pizza.
I mean, it wasn't what we wanted, which was across the street.
Across the river is Pizzeria Portofino, which was recommended, but you need a reservation.
So we could not.
Boo.
So, but we're starving. So we're eating fried food across the street.
Yeah, bar food. Gotta love some good bar food. nice to get a good night's sleep.
We had an excellent night's sleep.
Yes.
And now we're gonna go put our luggage in the storage they have here, which is very handy. What the place we're staying is kind of like an apartment, but it was in downtown and it was relatively cheap compared to, you know, the other downtown.
To the Hyatt or Marriott.
So we're gonna store our luggage in their little lockers, and we still have a lot of adventuring to do today.
We do.
We're gonna be going on a food tour, which is one of the things that I've always wanted to do. I watch a lot of vlogs about this. So we're going on a Chicago food tour today, and we get to try all the things. Are you excited about the food tour?
I am very excited about the food tour.
I am too. I think it's gonna be super fun.
It would be super fun.
I want to try the best pizza, the best hot dog,
Yeah.
the best whatever else Chicago is famous for.
Yes.
But I feel like at least those two things we have to try.
Yeah.
And we haven't had them yet. We tried last night to go to a cool pizza place that was recommended to us. However,
very
it was
popular.
full.
It was very popular.
And that's the bummer about coming like on the last minute like we are, is we couldn't plan ahead and make reservations for any place. And so we kind of just were left with, we ate on the river. It was beautiful, but the food was, you know, just whatever.
Bar food.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was good, but just fine.
tomato sauce first, then the cheese, and then that delicious crust. Now, unfortunately for them, their Mexican restaurant concept utterly failed. So, as I mentioned,
is
deep
like
dish pizza
crispy
becomes so popular for
and
Ike
so good.
that they decide they need to rename their restaurant. Something a little more.
I like the crust. It's nice and cooked. I was worried about it being a little doughy, and it's not. I like the cheese in the middle. It's just good pizza. I like it.
It's very thick cheese. They put tomato sauce on top because the cook time is long, and then the cheese is under that. And that is like super, I don't know, the cheese is really good, and I love cheese, so that makes it. And the crust is really crispy and perfect.
Yes, nice and crispy.
It's really awesome. Good pizza.
Good pizza.
Chicago was originally populated by Native American tribes, largely the Potawatomi. And they had a word for this area, Chica and Oa, together Chicagoa, which roughly translates to River of Stinky Onions. Now the coolest thing about it is down at the bottom, embedded in the facade, are stones from monuments all over the world, like Taj Mahal, Pyramids of Giza, Great Wall of China, all brought back by Tribune journalists of the time or given as gifts to the Chicago Tribune. So a whole lot of history right in one building. And then also if you guys turn
After the big fire in the late 1870s, architects flocked here to help redesign the city. So they got a second chance to design it, and then they came up with all this great architecture. And then they had the big World's Fair to show it all off in 1893.
Having some, what is it?
Garrett's mix.
Garrett's Chicago mix. I'm not supposed to call it that.
It's caramel corn and cheesy corn.
But it's really fresh and not,
it is so good.
and not powdery cheese. It's like,
Oh, it's coming off on your fingers
Yeah.
pretty bad. The famous Chicago bean,
bean.
which is not actually called a bean,
It's
but
the
something like Cloud Gate or something,
Cloudgate. I think that's it. Cloudgate.
is what the sculpture designer actually named it. But everyone in Chicago calls it the bean,
Yeah.
so the bean it is.
It's supposed to like represent a bead of mercury right before it hits the ground.
Yes.
Yes. So, but it's the bean.
The bean.
The bean.
Making the first bite. Very good. I love all the flavors. And the like vegetable flavors too. Like the pickles and everything. Pickles and onions, and our guide was just telling us there's no ketchup on here because it's an insult to put ketchup on beef, because it used to be to cover up the taste of meat going bad.
Okay.
So that was the famous Chicago hot dog, not necessarily at a spot that is the most famous, but what makes the dog famous is they wanted it to be all beef because they had such a large Jewish community here and they did not want any pork. And then a certain guy who was having trouble selling vegetables decided to put a bunch of vegetables on top. And they actually made it for the Great World's Fair in 1893 that they've talked so much about on this tour, and this our whole time in Chicago has been. Like the L train was originally made, you know, the most famous train was originally made for the World's Fair in 1893.
Yeah.
So much of the city's history is built around that time.
And remember, they originally called the Chicago dog's original name because of the Depression sandwich.
Oh yeah. And they sold it for 5 cents during the Depression, which at the time was the same amount you would pay for like a can of Pepsi or a bottle of Pepsi back then, I guess. So it was extremely cheap.
Right. You got all your vegetables. What's this called?
The Crown Fountain. place feels like you are in a Chicago restaurant.
Yes.
Hot Italian beef with giardinas and au jus.
How's you?
So delicious.
Yeah, that's really good. It's the spicy pickled pepper. It's really good.
Italian beef, she said, came from Italian immigrants, obviously, and they were drawn here to work in factories and meat supply places. Meat packing companies, I guess is a better way to say that. And they would give them the like tougher pieces of meat at the end of the day. I guess as part of a bonus of working there, that they couldn't sell or were more difficult to deal with, and so they brought them home and they decided to do this recipe where they would, you know, cook it low and slow with broth and then cut it really, really thin, and they made it their Italian beef, and it was delicious. It was our favorite thing we had so far, yeah. So it was awesome. Our very last stop, we got a little bit over anxious and ate the brownie, but it was delicious. And this is the Palmer House, and it is a gorgeous old hotel. And Chicago is the home of the invention of the brownie.
In this hotel right here.
In this hotel. I guess they were going on a picnic and they wanted something to like a cake, but that was not gonna get smushed on the picnic, and so they invented the brownie. And that was the last stop on our food tour.
Food tour's all done.
So we do get included with this tour 2 hours of bike rental or kayaking, which I think we're going to do the bike rental. So we have to go to the main office and get those bikes.
Okay, final thoughts on the tour. Definitely enjoyed the beef sandwich was my favorite part. Enjoyed all the food, but the hot beef sandwich, that's a bomb.
That was our best.
And that brownie, that was really good at the end there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we would highly recommend that tour, 10 out of 10. So we'll put the link in the description, but definitely doing a food tour was so fun. We learned history, we walked and saw sights at the same time, so it was really awesome. Definitely do it.
Totally worth it.
Tavern, which is way cooler than the one on Navy Pier. And this is super old school in here, and it is awesome. Under the bridge. Like, it led us to a place, it was like Alta is above us. And we're like, this is all fancy and new. This is not it. And then I'm like, maybe it's downstairs. And sure enough, it's under the road. Chicago. Everybody has been so friendly here. Everybody has been like so helpful. So like, you know, just locals on the street, you're not even asking for help and they're like, oh no, it's 2 more blocks. Like they hear us talking about which way we should go, or, you know, just everyone's been so nice. And it's like the big city vibes that I love, but the Midwest charm that I love. So, I mean, just, it's not this way in San Francisco or New York. it is definitely not this way. People aren't like friendly and nice and jumping in to help you. So I think it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Trip to Chicago?
It has been awesome. I've loved the people here. I have loved the food. I've loved the views. It's been beautiful weather. It is hot, but you know, it's August.
It is August in Chicago, but actually for weather, it's only like, maybe got to like 85 degrees today. Doesn't feel bad.
No, it's just if you're standing directly in the sun, it's kind of beating down.
Yeah, especially when you're in the city itself. But here by the lake,
it's nice breezes and cool.
It is nice breeze.
But I've loved it. What about you?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved how clean the city's been. I love the subway system. You know, sometimes it feels like it's gonna fall off the tracks, but besides that part, it's like, all right, we're gonna be all right, right? Nobody seems to be panicked. Except for my brain was like...
I haven't noticed that at all, just FYI.
Oh, no, I did, but that's me. I notice things like that. And yeah, the food's been great. The people have been great. I've enjoyed the walking tours. Like the food tour we did today was like 10 out of 10 recommend for sure. Recommend Chicago to people who want to live in a big city.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need a car here.
Absolutely not. I don't understand why people would own a car here.
All right. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, no reason for a car.
Like we said, the public transportation's awesome. It's clean. It's been reliable for us big time.
Yeah, get yourself an electric bike or a scooter with a basket and you're set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go. So yeah, I would recommend coming to Chicago. Check it out.
I would too. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Thanks for watching.
Get out there and go see it. Chicago Pier is not the right name.
You didn't have to put it in there. I was like, oh.
You were looking over there, and the camera goes like this while I'm trying to.
Okay, 100%.
I don't know what my sentence was now. Dinglebat, focus.